I want to turn to you next. No, it seems that not too long ago, cable television was the new medium. It was the medium that disrupted the traditional broadcast industry, and now you face many of the challenges that those of us in more conventionally traditional medium face. I'm just wondering, how do you do that? How do you provide content to viewers that advertisers want to support? What's been the story at MSNBC, and what's your recipe for success?
Well, I think to answer your first question, success is the best way to get advertisers to come to you. It's interesting. Cable was sort of the first disruptor, going all the way back to 1980, or when CNN came along, when the movie channels came along, when the premium channels came along. And yet, there was a long period where they sort of survived, and then the real change came in the mid-90s. And it sort of coincided when MSNBC and Fox News began as a challenger to CNN in the news business. But the big change was the web. It changed everything. And when they began, when NBC began MSNBC, it was a brilliant idea. They got cable. CBS and ABC, we got one of the last spots on the satellite, and we were on. And we were going to model ourselves on CNN, which had begun in 1980. And that was sort of a general interest cable news channel. But in 1996, when we went on, the world was changing. And Roger Ailes, who had hoped to get MSNBC, and he didn't, the folks at NBC decided to go with their news division. So Roger, who had been at CNBC and America's Talking, went over to Rupert Murdoch and he said, I understand the new world. And NBC News is beginning a cable news channel. I want to begin a channel with you. But I want to begin it. I studied this. I did a channel which was holding a space for MSNBC on the satellite for 1 year, but they did everything. They did cooking shows and health shows and political shows and sex shows just to fill the year. He found out the conservative shows, which fit his sensibility, always did well. And he also understood that the web was changing television. And he said you had to go niche. And in 1996, he went up with Fox News, and he decided that he was going to go to people. He was going to program for people who felt sort of disenfranchised by mainstream media. And he began Fox News. We began, at the same time, general interest on the model of CNN. For a decade, we struggled. Roger and Fox News soared because they knew their audience. They offered something and differentiated themselves. And honestly, we didn't differentiate ourselves. We were just doing what CNN did, but we didn't have their history. So by the time I took it over, when they were almost thinking about turning out the lights at MSNBC, I said, how are we going to differentiate ourselves? How in this new media landscape that is, just boiling over with new websites, new media, new ideas, I celebrate it. But how are we going to differentiate ourselves and make ourselves special in that? And that's when I changed MSNBC from a less general interest channel to a political channel with a progressive point of view. And it paid off immediately. And I honestly stumbled into it with two of our people who came out against the war. And it worked. And we started to get an audience that we never had. And then we added more people. And we added smart people. And they didn't always come out of television. And we got bigger audience. And one thing led to another, where by the end of 2012, we beat CNN in 2009 after being a distant third for 11 years. And then we challenged Fox News going into 12. And it was all because we found a way to differentiate ourselves, to connect with the viewer. I think in order to succeed in this new world, whether it's in cable, whether it's in the new world of digital, you have to be able to have a connection with your audience. And that's probably an emotional connection, that you stand for something. Doesn't mean you have to be outrageous and different, but you have to be meaningful. And so I call it differentiate, or an emotional connection, or just a powerful, whether it's good journalism, whether it's a smart group of people discussing something, but you have to stand for something. And that's what's given us our success. I'll tell a story. In 2008, I was in an elevator going to the Obama inauguration, and I ran into Samuel L. Jackson, the actor, in the elevator. And I said, oh, what are you doing here? And he said he was meeting his, he was having a luncheon for the First Lady to be. He was speaking at it. And unlike many celebrities, he said to me at the end of the elevator, what are you doing here? What do you do? And I said, I run MSNBC. And he stopped the elevator and he put out his hand and he said, thank you. Thank you for MSNBC. And I knew then, that's when it dawned on me, what we had. We had created this community that believed in us and needed us. And I ran back to our people back in New York. I said, honestly, they want us. We have this community. We have to reach out to that community. And to this day, whenever I do a town hall, I always put up Samuel L. Jackson saying, thank you for MSNBC, because that is the relationship we have to have with our viewer. And that's the success we've had. So I think as you go further into the new digital age, as you said, you got to be quality, you got to be good, but you also have to know your audience. And they have to believe in you and trust in you. And no matter what platform you are on, if you do that, you will succeed.